Arsenal are different this season. Look, we're different this season. Arsenal take 3 points at Old Trafford, and still there's people out there trying to put a bit of a negative spin on this result. We took the 3 points. Let's move on. Look, people before this game were saying Arsenal are going to struggle at the theatre of dreams, but we rocked up and turned it to the theatre of memes, and still there's people trying to put a downer on this performance. Look, I'm not blind. I understand there were some points in this game or moments in this game where Arsenal did look a bit shaky. There are some areas that I'm going to pinpoint, in fact, because I think they're worth talking about. But there's also some positive to look forward to. There's some things I'm going to touch on that will leave people feeling optimistic for the season. I want to get people's thoughts on it. Before I do, though, you know the drill. My name is Jed, and before I get into the video, if you could, very quickly, just hit like and subscribe. So I want to ask you a very quick question before I get into this result, because it is crazy the kind of reaction I'm seeing from this game, because a lot of people are saying, or United fans are saying, oh, we played better, we deserved the 3 points. We had the most possession in this game. We should have took the 3 points. And I'm like, you're crying about having the most possession. Yeah, we played better. We had more possession. I'll tell you what, you take home the ball then because you had more possession. We'll take home the 3 points. Let us drive down the M6 for 3 points. You lot can take the ball home. But I want to ask you a question surrounding these players. Which Arsenal player do you think played the best in that game? Because like I said, look, the performance wasn't perfect. There were a lot of positives to take, a lot of negatives maybe that we can touch on. But first of all, I want to genuinely try and gauge who people thought had the best performance. So let me know in the comment section. Look, I liked Ruben Amorim's comments after this game because he was saying, oh, we played so good. This proves we can beat anyone in this league because we outplayed Arsenal. This proves we can get a result anywhere. And I'm thinking, I must be missing something. I do not understand what you're talking about. You lost the game, and that proves you can beat any team. Yeah, but you lost the game, and I'm just, yeah, that's something I couldn't really understand. Look, Arsenal were defensively solid. It's something we've saw for the past couple of seasons. There were maybe some shocks in that starting lineup. A lot of people would have played Lewis Skelly. I thought playing Calafiori was the right choice because I think he's been in better form in pre-season. I think Lewis Skelly struggled, although I think he's a brilliant player, Lewis Skelly. He's looked kind of off this season, and I'm not saying he doesn't deserve a chance going forward, but I think Calafiori was the right choice. I think a lot of people were expecting Timber to start, but I was saying I liked Ben White's performance in pre-season. I think Ben White's looked solid. I think he's helped that right-hand side Saka when he overlaps and flies forward. I think he's a better attacking fullback than Jurrien Timber. Now, Jurrien Timber did come on for Ben White, and he was actually one of the bright sparks. I think he looked very good in the tackle, and defensively, he might be slightly better than Ben White, but I think we've got two brilliant fullbacks there. Like I said, Lewis Skelly maybe struggled a little bit, but that defence is something that Arsenal have been able to rely on for a couple of seasons, and people see that as a negative. People are like, Arsenal rely on their defence too much, and I'm like, but it works every single time, so what are we worried about? Just because we're relying on probably our strongest asset, that doesn't matter. Like, Arsenal, in terms of an attacking sense, wasn't perfect in this game, and I'm not just saying Viktor Gyökeres, I'm not just saying Martinelli, I'm saying Saka as well. The three attackers probably did underperform in this game. Now, Viktor Gyökeres, the outrage or the negativity surrounding this player is totally uncalled for. Like, I expect it from rival fans, but I'm seeing a lot of Arsenal fans coming out and saying, oh, he's rubbish. And I'm thinking, this is the guy's first game. The attacking runs he was making was actually very, very intelligent. His movement, his being that focal point, although it didn't pay off or it wasn't super beneficial in this game, those runs will become clearer to these players as the weeks progress. The more they play with Viktor Gyökeres, the more they will understand him. He was trying in that game. He looked slightly off it in terms of fitness, which is expected because he hasn't really had a pre-season. He wasn't training over in Portugal, so in terms of fitness, he might be slightly behind the others. But I think, well, I know Viktor Gyökeres is going to come good. Like I said, this wasn't a game where the other attackers were excelling, so only Viktor Gyökeres was off the pace. And what I actually liked is, when I saw Viktor Gyökeres being pulled off at 60 minutes and Havertz coming on, there was a thought in my mind where I thought, if Havertz comes on and score here, then it's going to be hard justifying this Viktor Gyökeres performance. But I think when Havertz come on, and everyone knows my opinion on Havertz, I think Havertz is a fantastic player. A lot of people don't agree with me, but I was thinking, oh, if Havertz comes on and plays well here, then it's going to look bad on Viktor Gyökeres. When Havertz came on, I think we lost that that focal point, that main centre forward. I mean, Havertz's hold-up play was decent, but in terms of making those runs in behind, I think in terms of an offensive threat, we looked stronger when Viktor Gyökeres was on the pitch, and that's brilliant to me. Now, there's areas where we can improve. At times when we was breaking and there was a transition, the Arsenal attack seemed very narrow to me. Like, we didn't really stretch their defence. I think their defence could have been stretched. They played with like a back five, so they had 3 centre-backs. So when we was attacking, all 3 of our attackers were with their 3 defenders. I think if Saka and Martinelli peeled out, it would have left more of a gap for Viktor Gyökeres to expose in that game. Now, maybe it was tactical because it happened more than once, but I would have liked, now I'm not saying my opinion is better than Arteta's, it's just something I saw from watching the game. It seemed to me that if we had those wingers peeling more wide in those attacking runs, it would have left a bigger gap for Viktor Gyökeres. Now, there was a couple of times where maybe he could have been played in. I think there was one from Saka. There was certainly one from Odegaard where I thought he could have maybe just played that pass and allowed Viktor Gyökeres to try and run at his defender. Because I'm hearing a lot of people saying Viktor Gyökeres isn't as fast as I imagined he would be. But he's actually quite fast. I think when we start to see him in foot races against defenders, that's when we'll start to see that this guy can actually shift. I hope we play Viktor Gyökeres in that game against Leeds, because although Leeds looked fantastic when they played Everton, you know, this is a lower league team. You would imagine they're going to finish somewhere in the bottom half. So maybe this is a game to allow Viktor Gyökeres to score a goal and get some confidence. We got some very tricky fixtures coming up with Liverpool. We got Man City. We got some very difficult games. And if we can get Viktor Gyökeres scoring before we go into these games, I think that will help Arsenal. I want to know you guys' opinions on how you thought Viktor Gyökeres performed on this game. Was you surprised by how, I don't know, some people are saying he looked sluggish. Some people are saying he was off the pace. Let me know your thoughts on Viktor Gyökeres in that game. What I did like is Calafiori scoring that goal. It just shows that we can summon goals from other areas of the pitch. We've seen it last season where it was Gabriel. When maybe the attack is struggling to fire, we spread out the goals. Mikel Arteta is strong in this philosophy. This Arsenal team likes to share the goals, and having players like Calafiori pop up for a goal. We'll see it this season where we'll have Saliba, Gabriel, Declan Rice. Odegaard needs to pop up with some goals. This Arsenal team now does have that main striker, so you would hope that the goals do get funneled centrally slightly more. But it's always beneficial to have players all around the pitch who can score. And like a lot of us have spoken about, Calafiori in that left-back position is more of an attacking threat than Lewis Skelly. It's an interesting one to see what Mikel Arteta does for the next game, and I want to, again, hear your opinion on that. Do you stick with that same defence? Would you go Timber to maybe shore things up defensively? Because, look, we got Leeds coming up. Of course, we're going to be doing a full tactical and match breakdown on that. But they are a team who likes to play, so you would imagine that plays into Arsenal's hands. A lot of these teams, when they're coming up from the Championship, they fail to realise that just because they was the best attacking team in the Championship, they think that can translate into the Premier League. When at times all they need to be is strong, physical, long balls over the top, and try and nick goals from set pieces. It looks like Leeds will try and play. I think that will play into Arsenal's hands. Because although I'm sure they're a fabulous team at attacking and playing, they're coming up against one of the best possession-based teams in world football. And I'm not over-egging the pudding because I'm an Arsenal fan. That's just the fact. Arsenal are one of the best possession-based teams in the Premier League. The Premier League is the strongest team in the world. Therefore, we're one of the best possession-based teams in world football. If Leeds are coming to play possession-based football, if they're going to try and out-silk Arsenal, then they're going to struggle. They might be the best at that in the Championship, but they need to realise when they come up against players like Odegaard, if you try and go silk for silk with Odegaard, you're probably going to lose that battle because he's of the highest level. Now, I hope they do come to play against Arsenal, and it'll be fascinating to see the level of difference, if there is, which I'm hoping there is, because as Arsenal fans, you'd look at it and say, if they're coming to play our type of football against us, one of the teams who's fighting for the Premier League and Champions League, you would imagine that works in our favour. So it's interesting to see how that game will shape up. Of course, we're going to have more videos coming out every single day. So make sure you're subscribed so you do not miss a thing. Let me know your thoughts on everything you've heard in this video. What was your thoughts on that Man United performance? Like I said, there's some areas of the pitch where we need to improve. The play was sloppy. The attack maybe wasn't as fluid as I would like it to be. Zubimendi, I don't think this was his best performance. Not calling him out. It's just something I noticed. But the good thing is you take 3 points from Old Trafford and there's still a negativity. Let's take the 3 points. I would rather play worse and take the 3 points than be the team who played better and not take the 3 points. The only thing that is important at this moment in time for Arsenal is win the 3 points. If you can collect the 3 points when you're not playing well, then imagine what you can do when you're playing well. It's in the games where you're not at the best is when you need to win the 3 points. And that's exactly what Arsenal done. So for that reason, I'm a very, very happy Arsenal fan. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks so much to everyone for watching and listening. Before you go, like I said, if you could do me the quick favour of just hitting like and subscribe, and I'll speak to you all in tomorrow's video. Gooners, have a good day.